It's the morning drive.
Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Drive. I'm your host, Brooks Fiesinger of BrooksFiesinger.com and MillionaireWho.com, where we help you stabilize your wallet, secure your future, and succeed in entrepreneurship and finance. I'm here with my co-host today, Hyundai Sonata. All right, on today's topic, we're going to be talking about becoming a 401k millionaire. All right, let's get on the road. So you might be wondering, what is this idea of a 401k millionaire? Have you heard of that before? So a 401k millionaire is somebody who becomes a millionaire in their 401k. Now, there's a few people who have some competing definitions. Some people are going to say it means you have to have an actual $1 million in your 401k and IRA. Others are going to say it means you're a millionaire when you include the money that's in your 401k and IRA. For the purpose of today's conversation, though, we're going to just ignore everything else and talk about just your 401k and IRA. Therefore, if you are a 401k millionaire for today's discussion, then that means your 401k itself and your IRA are worth $1 million or more. So once again, you're a millionaire just in your retirement savings. So for many of you, that's going to be the easiest way for you to realistically become a millionaire. And in my opinion, every single one of us needs to and should be a millionaire in our 401ks and IRAs. And if you're not on target to be a millionaire in your 401ks and IRAs, I think you're going to really struggle at retirement, big time. And you're going to have a hard time making things work for you. So once again, I don't think that this is truly some crazy lofty goal. I think this is like the must, like the bare minimum. The worst you should do in life financially is be a millionaire in your 401k and IRA. Now, some of you are going to sit there and say, it's impossible. And honestly, for some of you, it might be. But you can start doing things to get yourself close to it. And for many of you, it's very possible. And 100% of us, it could have been possible if we would have thought about this sooner and didn't wait until we're 40 to start saving for retirement. I mean, we talk about this a lot, but the fact that so many people wait until they're like 40 years old is eerily disturbing. I don't know what it is about us being kids that we sit there and say, oh, I can do it forever. I've got the future. I don't have to worry about my life now. You know, personal responsibility. Seriously, you do have to worry about your life now. We all have to worry about our lives now. And just saying someday you'll worry about your future is silly, because that someday needs to be now. It always needs to be now. And as we're going to discuss here, you know, becoming a millionaire is super simple if you start when you're young. Super simple. Like every one of us can do it. The bigger challenge comes in that none of us do, or few of us do on time. And almost all of us have to catch up later. Even myself, right? I mean, there's things I could have done when I was much younger that would have made it super simple to become a millionaire way sooner. And, you know, it would have been so easy, and I didn't do it. And those around you aren't going to do it, and you didn't do it. Nobody did it in time because, you know, ideally you would have started when you were like 3. You know, if you could have gone back and been like, hey, I should have worked a lemonade stand, and in the lemonade stand, I should have taken my money and I should have, you know, put the 75 cents in my IRA, and then if I would have done that, then I would have have like $10 million today. And that's pretty much the gist of everything we're talking about. It is, you know, you always would have done way better if you started yesterday. So don't say, I wish I would have started yesterday tomorrow, right? Which means do it today so that tomorrow you don't say, I wish I would have started yesterday. You'll say, hey, I wish I would have started 5 years earlier, but you can't start 5 years earlier, right? So I was reading this article, it was on time.com, and they did time and fidelity, and they were talking about what is the average age that somebody becomes a millionaire. Now, there's two sides to this angle this article that really caught my attention. The first is I'm quite knowledgeable about, you know, national statistics, and so I knew that the average person doesn't become a millionaire, right? So if the average person doesn't become a millionaire, then how can you have an article talking about the average age that you become a millionaire, right? It doesn't make sense. In fact, in the United States, there's no age group that has a median income of more than $200,000, median net worth, not median income, median net worth of more than $200,000. Now, median means the middle point, so therefore the median would have to be above $1 million in order for most people to become a millionaire after that point. Now, I'm going to give time the clear benefit of any doubt there. They meant of people that became a millionaire, what age did they become a millionaire? Now, once again, there's a lot of challenges here in the way that they did the analysis. Some of the things, for example, where they just looked at who became a millionaire, they didn't say, by age 70, those who became a millionaire, when they start. That means it is biased late in life because, once again, if you're 35 and you only have $800,000 in your IRA, I shouldn't say only, that'd be good. You have $800,000 in your IRA, that doesn't mean you won't become a millionaire. So there might have been some flaws, but we'll just take it for what it is. And that is, of all the people that are millionaires, at what age did they become millionaires? And the magic answer is 58.3 for women, or 58, actually almost 59 for women, and just over 59 for men. So that means right around the age of 59 is when most 401k millionaires became millionaires. What does that mean for you? First of all, it means you're likely, there's going to be a few of you that aren't, there's a good chance you're under 59. So if you're under 59, hey, you're not even to the average age yet when people become a millionaire. You still got plenty of time. And that's really one of the reasons why I like this is most people don't become wealthy until late in life, but if they become wealthy or not is dependent on what they do earlier in life, right? So it's like what you do today that's going to influence your likelihood of being successful long term, but you're not actually going to be successful until the long term. And this is the most frustrating thing about finance for people is everyone wants that instant gratification, like, I want it now. The problem is there is no now, right? But you have to act now in order to get what you want in the not too distant future. So that just keeps kind of coming up as the issue here, right? So you've got to be acting when you're 25 if you want to be that millionaire when you're 59 and sit there and say, good thing I did that when I was younger because now I'm set. Now, one of the things that disturbs me about the whole average person that becomes a millionaire is it happens at the age of 59, but the other side is, according to Fidelity Investments, the typical person makes like $250,000 to $350,000 that becomes a 401k millionaire. This really caught me off guard because I was like, what? $250,000 to $350,000? Like, there's no way there's that many people that make $250,000 to $350,000, okay? Now, I'm not allowed to talk about how much money I make, but I will tell you right now, in the town that I live in, I make below the median, okay? So that means that at least half the people in my town make more money than I do every year, all right? And then I'm sitting there thinking, putting the dots together and saying, okay, so if I've got no problem becoming a millionaire, making way less than most people, what's their excuses, right? You don't have to make a six-figure income, right? Most of you aren't going to. If you make a six-figure income, you have zero excuse not to become a multimillionaire in my book, right? So if you're making $35,000 a year, $45,000 a year, guess what? You are totally in millionaire territory, right? There's no reason you shouldn't be a millionaire. And I'm not joking, right? If you make $35,000 a year for your entire life, you should have no problem being a millionaire. And that's what we're going to talk about for a few minutes is that, seriously, for the vast majority of us, there's zero excuse except for our own laziness and our refusal to do it, right? The idea that, hey, I'll wait till I'm 30. I'll wait till I'm 25. I'll wait till I'm 50, right? We just put it off because we're lazy and we don't want to take personal responsibility for ourselves, right? And that's kind of the kicker. And so, I'm going to help educate you, but when it comes down to it, if you decide you want to be a failure and you don't want to be successful, you decide you want to be broke and have to work when you're 85 years old, if you decide that, your future is going to be out of your control and you're going to die because you can't afford your health care, if that's your choice, I can probably sleep okay at night. right? The problem is so many people when they're 70 wishes they had enough money to take care of themselves. And the answer is, well, why don't you? Oh, it's because when I was 22, I wanted a new shirt. Okay, so I bought a new shirt because I wanted to die early, right? And some of you are thinking, man, you're sensationalizing this. Why are you sensationalizing this? That's a big deal. Talking about like dying, and that's the problem. I'm not sensationalizing this stuff, right? Like seriously, people die because they can't afford healthcare, and a lot of them can't afford healthcare because they bought a freaking shirt, right? I mean, I know people that spend $250 on a stupid shirt. You spend $250 on a shirt, and therefore you die. Like that seems clear to me. And if that sounds extreme to you, I want you to really sit back and think about that for a minute, because it's not extreme, right? I mean, you're probably wasting more money than it would take for you to be financially secure for the rest of your life. Like wasting, like throwing it in the toilet, buying stuff you don't need, literally burning. Like very few of you literally can't get enough money to do it. Very few. I would say less than 1 in a million can't do it. Now there is that 1 in a million, or maybe more than that, maybe 1 in 100,000, but almost everybody can do it. And the reason they don't is because, once again, they would rather have a shirt. They would rather have a big old house. They would rather have a nicer car right now than be able to care for themselves in their future. And that just, to me, is crazy, right? Like, I would rather drive a piece of junk car that barely gets me to work every day. I would probably rather walk to work every day than know that I can't take care of myself in the future, that I can't feed myself right, that I can't pay for my health care, that I can't do that. That to me is ridiculous, right? So you think I'm being ridiculous the way I'm talking about this? I think other people are absolutely nuts that they put a freaking t-shirt in front of their financial future. I mean, it's seriously laughable. And that's one of the reasons this whole thing happens, is because I'm sitting there saying, it's easy, it's not hard. There's no reason you aren't a millionaire. No reason you're not going to become a millionaire. None. The only reason is because you're not doing it and you're too lazy. So stop being lazy. There's no other excuse. None. No excuse. Now, the potential excuse that people can use is they didn't know any better. And that's the one that is sad. If you really don't know, which is a lot of people, I've seen the proof of it. If you really don't know, then it's a little bit of a different story, but you're watching me right now. Therefore, you're getting educated. All right. So that's not an excuse for you. That might be an excuse for the person who's never heard of this, but it's not an excuse for you. And so therefore, if you know somebody who needs this conversation, maybe you want to pass this on to them, because honestly, it's our responsibility to help our friends, help our peers, help our family, and make sure they are set. All right, so once again, I have never made anywhere close to the level that some of these people were talking about in this article, but I assure you, you don't have to. You definitely don't have to. At least definitely not from your primary income, right? So if you're a 20-year-old, okay, and I know many of you are way past 20, probably the vast majority, and this is one of the problems I talked about earlier, right? None of us start when we want to. So if we would have started when we were 20, it would have been easy, life would have been simple, but what happened? We didn't start when we were 20, and therefore we now have to play catch up, right? We don't realize that we actually dug ourselves into a hole. And so most of us are sitting in a situation in life where we're behind and having to catch up. But let's imagine for a minute we're not behind. How much do you think you have to put in when you're 20 to become a millionaire at 65? Think about that for a minute. How much do you think you have to put in? The answer, $3,500 per year, and you will be a millionaire. Think about that, $3,500 per year. It's all you gotta do starting when you're 20. That means when you're 20, you put $3,500 a year. When you're 30, you put $2,500 a year. When you're 40, you put $3,500 a year. Retirement, you are a millionaire, right? You're a millionaire. So you're a millionaire by putting in $3,500 a year. That's only $292 a month, right? $292 a month. Now, knowing cars, that is less than a whole bunch of you making $35,000 a year, $45,000 a year are putting into car payments every year. Think about it, right? So for less than you're paying for your car, you could be a millionaire. Think about it. You could be a millionaire. Are you in a car right now? Think about your car. Is it worth not being a millionaire to drive that car? I don't know. You could be a millionaire. Think about it, right? So, realistically, $292 a month is not ridiculous at all, and is very reasonable for the vast majority of people to do. Now, is that easy? Do you want to spend $292 a month? No, of course not. At the time, you'd rather buy a t-shirt. But I can guarantee you, go talk to some older people. I would be hard-pressed to find somebody who's 80 years old that says, I'm so much more glad that I spent $250 on a t-shirt when I was 22 instead of preparing for my future, right? I don't think you're gonna find that supposed person, right? Now, there's occasionally some things that are worth doing. Maybe there is some trip or some concert or some big thing that you're gonna remember your entire life, right? I'm not telling you to give up everything in the world, but if you make $35,000 a year, then putting $3,500 a year into retirement is only 10% of your income. That means you still have 90% of your income to spend on food, clothing, housing, fun stuff, right? You still have $32,000. $32,500 that you can go spend on everything else, right? So realistically, we're talking like 10% of your income. Now, 10% is somewhat significant. I'm not going to deny that. But if you do that up front, just imagine you're only making $32,000 a year, right? And the rest of it is going into your 401k or it's going into your IRA. In this scenario, we're talking about IRA, right? That assumes zero employer matching. That is just you putting your money in your IRA. Now, there are some assumptions here that you can hear everywhere. You got 7% annual return, but that is realistic. $3,500 a year, starting at 20, and you're a millionaire, right? Does that sound out of reach? I sure as heck hope not, because it's not out of reach. Is that realistic for you to target? Certainly, I think it is. So if it's realistic for all of you to target, and you could have done it when you were 20, then do it. All right. Let's imagine that you're not 20, because odds are you're not. And if you are 20, you're probably not watching this, because most people don't get this education in school, which is sad. Okay, and I got to do a quick side rant, and I apologize. If you teach your kids this, and they knew this before they're 20, and they start when they're 20, they're set. It's $3,500. Guess what? You do it when you're younger, like even 15, and it's even less, way less per year, right? So, we're not joking when we talk about being easier at a younger age. The reason you don't start until you're 50 is because you don't know any better, right? You don't understand the way the world works. Nobody taught you, right? Your schools are not teaching you how to take care of yourself. The schools are teaching you Latin, right? Latin, naturae, yeah, right? Okay, so focus a little bit of your energy on learning this stuff. Teach your kids this stuff now. Teach it to them when they're 10, teach it to them when 5, teach them when they're 15, because if they're doing this when they're 20, they're set. The only reason we don't is because we don't know any better, and that's sad. Let's cry a tear for the people who don't know any better, right? Then let's take some responsibility ourselves to make sure they do, right? Let's make sure we educate them. All right, so you didn't get started when you're 20, right? You waited, you went to school, maybe you went to college, and then you got a job, and at first you're freaking out over student loans or whatnot, and finally you're 25 and you say, all right, I've got to get my life under control. I just wasted too much time. I'm behind. What do I have to do? Okay, you're 20 years old. $5,000. This assumes no employer match, but $5,000 a year. It's about $420 a month. $5,000 a year, and you're a millionaire retirement, right? That's still within grasp. Even if you make $35,000 a year, that is within grasp. You can do $5,000 a year. Is it easy? No, no one said it is, but we'll talk about some ways to deal with it in a little bit. Okay, so all you gotta do is $5,000 a year if you're 25, and you're gonna become a millionaire. Once again, even if you're 25, it's realistic. Now, imagine you're 30. Now you got yourself a little problem, right? And that is the government has a cap on the amount of money you're allowed to put into an IRA. Your ability to be an IRA millionaire is pretty much done at the age of 30. Once again, let's shed a tear. Okay, you're 30. You can't become a millionaire through your IRA. However, what about this magical thing called a 401k? All right, so your employer very likely has a 401k set up for you. Many, if not the vast majority of employers have a match, say for example 3%. So imagine for a minute you have a 3% match and you're 30. No fear, you put your $5,000 a year into your employer match 401k, and what do you think is going to happen? What happens is you're a millionaire at 65, right? Because you have the 3% match. So you put $5,000 a year into a 401k with employer match, you're a millionaire, there's $5,000 a year. Now, after 30, it starts getting more and more challenging because you do not have compound interest working for you anymore. So if you are over the age of 30, once again, now it's getting a little late, you should start getting a little nervous, but it's not impossible. If you're 40, you got to put $11,500 a year. $11,500. Now, $11,500, and that also assumes the employer match at 3%, is very realistic for many of you. However, if that's a third of your income, that's getting tough. Is it possible? Yes. Might you have to make drastic changes in your life? Yes. Okay. But your future is your responsibility. If your future is your responsibility, you have to take those drastic measures in order to get where you're trying to get, okay? So there's still no excuse. You still got to do it. You got to be successful. You can't ruin your life just because you're too lazy to get in order right now, right? And for some people, I know somebody personally who realized they were behind where they wanted to be, and they had their own custom house that they built, which they loved, sold their house and moved into a smaller place. Why? Because they knew they had to get their life in order, right? They had to make those drastic decisions, and that was, I would believe, it's in their 40s. So in their 40s, they made that decision, okay? So you might have to make a drastic decision. That doesn't make it an excuse, right? That's just how life works. Sometimes we gotta do that because we're making that drastic decision because we're making up for our own mistakes in the past. The fact that we didn't do it younger means we have to make up for it now, and that often means more sacrifice. Once again, you're 40, still $11,500 a year, and you can get to your $1 million at retirement target, okay? Now, I don't think $1 million is necessarily enough for many of us, but it is the minimum, and it's very realistic for all of us to become that 401k millionaire, right? We just kind of talked through how it is. Now, let's look at a more extreme example. We talked about, what is the minimum you have to put in to become a millionaire at retirement? But the kicker is, what if you put in more? So say, for example, a lot of people save 50% of their income. We're just going to say 25, right? I consider this very realistic. You're at a company that has a 6% match, okay? You make $35,000 a year, and you're going to save 25% of it for retirement. That is not ridiculous. That is not over the top. There are many people that do it, okay? So it is very possible. There are people that do 50% of their income. We're going to do 25% of our income, just 25%, okay, with an employer and 6% match. What does this look like if you make $35,000 and you never get a raise? You only make $35,000 for the rest of your life. What does this look like? In your IRA, you put $5,500 a year in. That is $1.7 million, right? So at retirement, you have $1.7 million. That's just in your IRA, but you also have your 401k. What's your 401k look like? $2.4 million, okay? So think about that. You put in 25% of your $35,000 a year income, right? $35,000 is not a huge income. We're not saying that you have to have a huge income in order to make this happen. We're talking about $35,000 a year. You're putting away 25%, right? Starting when you're 20. What does this mean? Once again, that's $2.4 million in your 401k, $1.7 million in your IRA for a total of $4.1 million. You're not just a millionaire, you're a multi-millionaire. You've got $4.1 million off $35,000 a year income, right? $35,000 a year, and you've got $4.1 million. What can you do with $4.1 million? That's $385,000 you can spend every year in retirement. It's more than 10 times your income, right? You can literally, in your first year, buy yourself a Ferrari with cash. And in your second year, you can buy yourself your dream house with cash. And And in your third year, you can go travel the entire world and go everywhere you could ever dream of with cash. And in your fourth year, you can pay for your entire kids' college funds. And in your sixth year, you can pay for your grandkids' college funds. And in your seventh year, you can buy a building for your college, right? I mean, we're talking about all these things that we imagine ultra-rich people get to do, right? Ultra-rich people get to take care of their kids. Ultra-rich people get to take care of their college. But no, you can do it on $35,000 a year. That's all you need, $35,000 a year income. And you can be sitting on $4.1 million at retirement. That's almost $400,000 you can spend on anything you want in retirement, right? And that's when you can blow it. Think about that for a minute, right? $4.1 million, $400,000 a year to spend on anything you want. You can live the most luxurious life you can ever dream of right now. And you can do that at $35,000 a year. Is that incredible? That should be incredible because that's the kind of motivation you need to get there. Literally, $4.1 million. You can live the craziest life you can imagine. I mean, crazy. You can have everything you dreamt of. The nicest cars, the nicest house, all the cool stuff, go to all the sports games, do all the travel, everything you dreamed of is realistic off $35,000 a year, right? Now, once again, for many of you, you don't want that. That's fine. I'm not telling you should want it, but you need to understand what's possible so you don't at least give up on what's possible, right? If that's what you want, you at least know you can get it. And that's what's important, right? You can get it. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? This is, $4.1 million off of a $35,000 a year salary. That's freaking awesome. Now, once again, some people are going to say, hey, I'd like to spend more younger. That's fine. We're just talking about, what are the extremes, and you're going to figure out in between. I think the bare minimum is you want $1 million a year or $1 million by retirement in your 401k and IRA. But, $4.1 million is not out of the realm of possibility. For some of you, more is not outside of the realm of possibility. That's just off $35,000 income. All right, so what if, for example, you say, that's awesome, but I'm 40 or I'm 35, it's too late. Well, this is where I was talking about this earlier, right? It's never too late. You never give up. You figure out a way to make it happen because, even the 21-year-old can say I should have started when I was 20. Even the 30-year-old can say I should have started when I was 25. The 40-year-olds can say I should have started at 35. The 50-year-olds can say I should have started at 40. The 60-year-olds can say I should have started at 50, right? So it's never fully too late to make serious progress in making this happen. So let's not, give up. Let's not write this off as impossible. Let's go start today and actually make it happen. Let's go make that millions. Let's go make it happen right now. All right. So if you're sitting there saying, okay, I'm ready to make it happen right now. I'm going to become the multi-millionaire at retirement. I want to become a 401k millionaire. This sounds great, but you're struggling to save that $3,500 a year, right? Maybe you get $28,000 a year. Maybe you got $24,000 a year, right? And you're saying, hey, how do I get that $3,500? Well, the good news is this goes back to the conversation we have frequently. One, or I should say zero, right? Ignore the Joneses and entitlements. You're not entitled to anything. And who cares what your next door neighbor has, right? You say you want your next door neighbor's new car. You don't say you want your next door neighbor's cancer, okay? So stop looking at your neighbor. Who cares? Ignore the Joneses. You don't want to keep up with the Joneses, and ignore entitlements. You're not entitled to squat. If you accept those two things, it becomes real easy. Then you have two goals or two things you can do. One, you can make more money, or two, you can spend less money. So if you're trying to free up $3,500 a year, that's $292 a month. Once again, it's not too challenging to get that money by either making more or spending less. So say, for example, you want to spend less money. That's a good noble cause. Maybe you want to do both, right? If you have a 2-year-old car and you're paying $350 a month, sell it and buy a 10-year-old car. That's going to save you $350 a month, still put you $50-$60 a month into, repair costs that you can save for repair costs, and gives you your $290,000. Instantly, all of a sudden there, just by changing your car up, now you've got your $1 million at retirement, right? That wasn't so hard. Or maybe you're out of school, or maybe you're even a little older and you're going to go buy a house and you're looking at a 3,000 square foot house. Maybe you buy the 1,000 square foot house and live in it for a few years until your income can support that house that you can't afford, right? It tends to be the biggest thing is that we're overspending. It should not be hard to put away 10, 20, even 30% of your income. Okay? And as you know, if you're putting 30% of your income aside for retirement and your income grows, then you can start spending more money, but you're still putting away 30%. Now, if you're trying to make more money, how can you do it? One of the things a lot of people overlook is like getting a raise. I mean, I know people who work at companies where if they would just go take a class, they'd get more money. That's pretty easy. I don't even know if that would be considered a raise. Why would you turn that down? For some people, it's going to be, can you switch jobs? You know, you might not think the difference between a $35,000 a year job and a $39,000 a year job is significant, but that's your retirement savings. That's your $1 million of retirement difference, right? Can you moonlight? That's working in the evenings or on the side. I know a lot of people that do this. Can you generate passive income, real estate or stock holding or something like that? Or, you know, can you run your side business? Can you run something on the side that generates some extra money, selling stuff on Facebook or selling stuff to your friends or stacking vending machines or anything else? Now, one of the biggest hurdles of this is this concept of delayed gratification, where people are sitting there and say, okay, I like the idea, I want to do it, but the problem is I don't want to live miserable my entire life. And this is the kicker. It actually makes your life easier. You know why? Because if you start saving at 20, you only have to put $3,500 a year away. If you wait till 40, it's $11,500. So put yourself in two scenarios. You start when you're 20. When you're 40, you're only putting $3,500 away. That means you've got $8,000 more per year that you can spend on other stuff that you don't have to put towards retirement, right? So if you wait till you're 40, you got to put $11,500 per year away. If you start when you're 20, even when you're 40, you're only putting $3,500 a year away. Therefore, that difference, that $8,000 is yours. Go buy yourself a motorcycle, right? Go enjoy yourself. The delayed gratification isn't that long. You know, it's a couple of years. You start a couple of years earlier, and then you have less money coming out of your paycheck and out of your income streams for the rest of your life to get that your retirement goals. You still need the same amount of retirement. When you start doesn't affect how much you need at retirement. So starting earlier means you have more later, right? So therefore, it's a slight delayed gratification, but makes your entire life easier. And I don't know how you can afford not to make your entire life easier, okay? Now, once again, if you think it's too late, it's not too late for anyone. Quit making excuses. You got to go make it happen. There's no time for excuses. Seriously, it's not too late. Go make it happen right now. It's like a business concept of sunk cost. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. What you did or didn't do before doesn't matter. It's done now. You're starting over today. Today you're sober. What can you do today to get yourself towards that 401k millionaire point? What can you do right now, this minute? Start moving, all right? So now go out there and go make the impossible happen.
It's the morning drive.